My intention with this video is to share things that are helping me to have a more balanced life while actually running a successful business. So let's dive right in. This is a little bit different compared to some of the stuff I normally share with you guys. But hopefully you guys enjoy this because this has really helped me out over the last few years, especially as I started to learn more about myself. So let's dive right in. What's up, guys? This is Nick with Consulting Profits, and today we're going to be talking about the 10 lessons to be more productive in your business. And this is essentially my deep work routine. So over the past, I'd say 10 years of being an entrepreneur, I've learned a lot of what not to do. I've learned a lot of what to do. And these are kind of my best practices as to what helps me out. And hopefully it can help you out, because in business, it can get really stressful. I've gotten myself to the point of burnout where it literally took me like a year to recover from it. So I don't want that to happen to you. My intention with this video is to share things that are helping me to have a more balanced life while actually running a successful business. So let's dive right in. This is a little bit different compared to some of the stuff I normally share with you guys. But hopefully you guys enjoy this because this has really helped me out over the last few years, especially as I started to learn more about myself. So let's dive right in. So the first thing is to exercise. And this is not to say you have to go to the gym and lift heavy weights and be on some crazy strength training plan or things like that. I just mean to do something active every day, right? For myself, I try to lift weights or go to the gym 5 times a week, and I try to be there 30 minutes minimum. And it's better just to be in the mentality of showing up. It's one of those things where it's like, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but when you really don't want to go to the gym and you just go there and you're like, hey, I'll just do one exercise, you get into this mindset of like, well, I'm already here. I already made the trip over here. I may as well do another exercise. And at that point, you may as well just finish the workout. So it's better just to show up, even if it's for a short amount of time. Just get your mind in the mindset of just showing up. And when you show up and do things and you're disciplined in this one area of your life, you will translate that into other areas of your life. So when it comes to business tasks that you don't necessarily want to do, you're just going to do it. You're going to show up and do a little bit of it. And you're like, oh, I'm already doing this task, so I may as well do it. And these are the things that have really helped me just in terms of discipline, but also exercising just keeps you mentally sane. I got to a point a few years ago where I was about 40 pounds heavier, believe it or not. And I let myself go because I was like so focused on the business and it was so unhealthy. So I dedicated myself to basically being active every day and going to the gym multiple times a week. So yeah, those are things that are really helpful. The other thing too that is really, really helpful just for resting your mind and things like that is just taking active rest days. Walking is really good. Ideally, if you can walk outside, that's very, very good. And it doesn't have to be crazy, 30 minutes. And sometimes whenever I start walking, I end up going for like 60 to 90 minutes. So just a good way to kind of decompress your brain a little bit. The other thing is having hobbies. So for me, my favorite hobby, which I'm absolutely obsessed with, is golf. And after I film this video, I actually have a tee time to go golfing. And the reason why I love golf is, one, it's just a very fun sport that, you're battling yourself on. There's no one else to blame if you hit a bad shot. It's just yourself. But aside from that, it really allows me to get off my phone for like 4 hours at a time. Like going to the golf course takes about 4 hours, right? When you play a full round of 18 holes, and it allows me to be present in the moment on the golf course. But aside from that, hobbies just allow you to achieve fulfillment outside of business. Because if you have a hard day in business, but you go do something that gives you a lot of fulfillment, a hobby that gives you a lot of fulfillment, and you achieve something in that hobby, it feels like a win. And sometimes you just need a win. So it's just really good for the mental mindset behind it all. Great for mental health and everything like that. So the other thing too is it also allows you to connect with others kind of on a different level. Like I have a group of friends who are, super business oriented. All we talk about is business and all these things. Sometimes you just need to step away from that, right? And allow yourself to connect on different levels. So I also have people I just golf with, and all we talk about is golf and different equipment and different, golf tournaments that we're watching and keeping up with and things like that. So yeah, it's really fun to also just connect with people as well, just on a different level other than business. The next thing is avoiding negative people. This has been huge for me. For me, I used to be one of those where I would have a lot of relationships, but not a lot of deep relationships. And as a result, there were some negative people in my circle. And what I learned was that negative people can really drain your energy and hold you back from taking necessary action. I find that, negative people just want to bring you down to their level, because generally, with them being negative, they don't really want you to be happy, right? They actually cheer for you to lose, in my experience. Now, I don't want to generalize and speak for everyone, but if you're on a mission and your goal is to do better for yourself, personally develop, have financial goals, secure wealth, right? You can't have people who are not cheering you on and want you to lose in your life. You need to cut negative people out. It sounds really harsh, but you have to do what's best for you. And yes, it is tough to cut people out, but I just did it. For me, that was one of the best things I did. I was fortunate enough that I was running my business at the time and I was able to travel and things like that. So I moved abroad. And I cut a lot of people out while I moved abroad. And when you leave, you really find out who your real friends are and who aren't, right? You'll have people who are supporting you and things like that, and people you can come back to like you never left. I left for almost, 2.5, 3 years. And there's people who I came back to and I had great conversations with. And I found out those are my true, really good friends that I can have deep relationships with. And then people who I just completely cut out, or they completely just forgot I left and, never reached out to me when I came back. And that's the nature of life. But I found that when I did that, I had so much more energy. Instead of worrying about, people, drama, things like that, I could use that energy towards business. And I saw my business accelerate through that. So it's important to cut out negative people. The other thing too, with having negative people in your life, is that if they are trying to hold you back and they're being judgmental. So for example, I talk to clients about this all the time, right? When they first started their business, there's so many people who are saying don't do that. You'll never succeed. The likelihood, you might succeed, but it's so unlikely, or this and that, they're just being negative towards it. Well, yeah, I mean, obviously with entrepreneurship, there's a risk to it, but it's the risk is that the risk of staying where you are is even higher, in my opinion, because you don't get any upside, right? If you're in a 9-to-5 and you hate your job, you hate your life, and you're doing the same thing day in and day out, and they're telling you not to start a business, not to achieve your dreams, it doesn't even make sense, right? So they hold you back from taking necessary action that you need in order to get to the next level. So this is one of my top ones, is that you need to surround yourself with people who are aligned with your mission, who support you, and who encourage you to take necessary action to get to where you want to go. If they are not aligned with your mission, your vision, your values, or any of those things, then you need to cut them out. I know it sounds harsh, but it's one of the things that absolutely changed my life. The other thing too is gratitude. Gratitude's super important, because you need to express gratitude for what you have, not just saying every day, I want this, or why can't I have that, or this person is in this position and I should be in that position. We never take a step and we never take a pause to look at what we've achieved. One of the things a mentor told me a long time ago was that we write these goals down, but we never take time to actually reflect on these goals years later to see that we've achieved them, right? I keep upping my goals. As entrepreneurs, your goal will always up, right? You hit your goal, you're like, great, this is awesome. You don't really celebrate. You're like, what's the next goal? And it never feels good enough. So one of the things that you need to do is have gratitude of what you have today, because listen, things can be easily taken for granted and be taken away from you in an instant. Okay. So we need to be grateful for not just financial things, but your family, your friends, your relationships, all these different things that are just outside of money. And all these things are super important to be grateful for, because we never take a step to look back at what we've actually achieved. And if you actually look and you pause right now and you're like, what were my goals 5 years ago? And you look at your life today, it's very likely you've achieved a lot of the goals that you set out 5 years ago. So take a pause, reflect, and this allows you to recharge your energy levels and in terms of motivation and fulfillment. Because when you start to train your brain that, hey, I can actually hit these goals, you build more trust with yourself in your ability to hit goals. We talk about limiting beliefs and you hear about limiting beliefs and stuff. Limiting beliefs come from you lying to yourself, right? Because if you tell yourself, oh, I'm going to hit a goal, right? Let's say you say, hey, I'm going to go to the gym 3 times a week, but you never do. Well, the reason why you have a limiting belief on going to the gym is because you just lie to yourself and make these goals that you never hold yourself to, right? And that's where a lot of limiting beliefs come from. Whereas if you do the opposite and you train your mind on goals that you've hit, and you reflect and give yourself gratitude on goals that you've hit, you train yourself to trust yourself, which plays a huge role when it comes to business. You need to be able to trust your intuition. The next thing is sleep. I mean, this is pretty basic, but I try to get a minimum of 8.5 hours a night. I know that sounds excessive. It is excessive, but I like my sleep because it gives me more productivity when I'm working on things. It makes me extremely clear-minded. I can come up with solutions significantly better than when I'm even on like 7 hours of sleep. I don't get how people operate off of less than 8 hours of sleep. Maybe I'm built different, but for me, I know I need 8.5 hours of sleep in order to feel my best. And I will quite frequently sleep in if I need to. There'll be times where I feel really drained or things like that, and I listen to my body. If I need 9 hours of sleep, I'll give myself 9 hours. But it allows me to show up significantly stronger in my day-to-day. Obviously, it's not perfect. I don't get 8.5 hours every single night. There's times where I'm grinding and I'm in a push season, and maybe I just end up sleeping a little bit less, but I end up trying to catch up on it. Maybe on a weekend, I'll try to really catch up on it, not set any alarms or anything like that, and really just try to catch up. So that's super important. The other little tip I can give you guys is to also just have a little bit of like red light in your life. Red light, produces melatonin. I have a red light that just automatically comes on 60 minutes before while I'm winding down in bed, and it helps really basically I fall asleep almost instantly. Helps me out a ton if you have any trouble sleeping or getting to sleep. The other thing is travel. I don't really have any qualitative or quantitative data on this. More quantitative, I should say. But for me, it's been great for the soul. I mean, if you ever have the opportunity to spend months abroad, I really recommend it. I get it's, not everyone has that opportunity. But for me, when I was running my business, I said, screw it, I'm going to go live abroad for a couple years, and I ended up doing it. I learned a ton about myself, and I don't know why. There's nothing I can really actually attribute this to, but some of my best revenue months were when I was traveling. So take that for what you will, but either way, it's great just to submerge yourself into other cultures, and also just traveling gives you motivation. I mean, like when you're abroad and you're experiencing different things, it just gives you so much fulfillment in your personal life that you're like, oh, I want to do this more. I need to hit better goals. I need to have higher income. I need more wealth so I can be able to do these things. I can be able to bring my family on these things, or, experience these things with others. So that was one thing that was huge for me, was like I did solo travel, but now, I just want to be able to travel with my family. So for example, I just booked, my partner and I and my parents a trip that I'm leaving on in about a week from now. And those are the things that, really excite me, and what money can be used for, instead of just hitting goals, hitting money goals for the sake of it. It's what you can actually do with the money, to the ones that you're with, and experience those things. The next thing is fasting and eating well. For me, I fast when I do deep work, and then I only try to have carbs like once a day, like in one meal, which is usually dinner. Because typically what I'll do is I'll do deep work in the mornings, and then around 11 or 12, I'll hit the gym. Then I'll eat lunch, and then from there, I do another work sesh, and then I'll usually have dinner. And then before the gym, I usually prioritize protein. And then that I found really has allowed me to avoid slumps. I'm also I'm really into caffeine. I mean, I drink a lot of coffee as well, so that typically suppresses my appetite, things like that. But also listen to your body. There's times where I'm like starving in the morning and I need, some fuel. So then I'll just have some protein in the morning. So those are the things that just keeps my head really clear-minded as well. Gives me a lot of clarity. And I just really try to avoid the slumps where in the afternoons, you eat something super heavy and you just feel really, really, really just tired for the lack of a better word. All right. The other thing is to give back. So I'm a big believer in what comes around goes around. So if you can give back, donate, volunteer, it doesn't have to be money, give your time back, right? Treat your family to a dinner, treat your family to a vacation. Do something that allows you to give back. It makes you feel good, it motivates you, and it expresses gratitude in a different way. When you give back, it just feels amazing and makes you feel really lucky to be in the position that you are in to be able to give back. So I always recommend giving back as much as you can. And just providing value. Like, what's the point of living life if you're not actually giving back and providing value in your life and helping others, and helping others as well, right? Just in general. So always give back and do your best. The other thing is sunlight. Sunlight has been a major game changer for me. I try to get about 15 minutes of sun exposure every day. Very easy for me to be in my office all day long, and just not getting any sun exposure. And if you do that every single day throughout the work week, well, it's very easy to get cramped up and not see sun for a while. So take some breaks, sit outside. For me, I have a nice patio set that I go sit outside and just like either am reading or, watching some educational videos, things like that, or just like sitting there and enjoying the sun. And you can just sit out there and basically get some sun, build up that vitamin D, and it makes you feel really, really energized, really good. And the last thing you want is to be vitamin D efficient. Also too, like sometimes just going for a short walk after like, especially a deep work session, it just really recharges you. It makes you feel like you're cutting up your day. You're especially like work sessions where it's very mentally like takes a lot of focus. It's just good to take a break and go for a walk. So those are some of the things that have really helped me. The last thing is just setting up your do not disturb, right? And turning off all notifications when you're in a deep work sesh. This is pretty standard, but very easy to see a notification, go to that, and then you lose your focus. Like I think as a lot of the time, we don't realize how much focus it takes to get a task done, but how much more focus it takes to get reoriented on that task if you get deviated away from it. So it's a lot of energy just to get yourself like realigned on that task. So if you can turn off all notifications for a few hours, get significantly more tasks done in a much shorter amount of time. And honestly, your focus is going to be so much better. And if you do that in short bursts, you'll just see that you get so much more done and you can still get to all your notifications when you need to. Before, I was always like so urgent about notifications. Now, honestly, I just put my phone on DND a lot of the time and just like, I just hate notifications, especially when I'm working on something. So hopefully that has been beneficial for you. Bit of a different video. Let me know if you like this type of video. If you do, please subscribe, like, comment. Let me know your thoughts. I would love to hear them. And let me know if you actually implement these things, and I hope it helps you out in your business. I'll see you guys in the next one.